You're listening to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast, the show with a light-hearted look at the eventing world, all of the big event previews, reviews, and special guests, and of course, backed up with all of the key Echo Ratings stats. Welcome to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast. Welcome to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast. Oh, what a weekend we enjoyed at Burgham International Horse Trials. This is the review show for you listeners. We are going to look back on what was a superb weekend of competition. Before we do, I have got a very special guest, and she was a winner this weekend. It was her first ever 4-star short victory. Welcome to the show, Ros Canter.
Thank you.
Ros, first of all, huge congratulations, because it was safe to say, we've just summed it up a little bit, but a pretty brilliant weekend for you.
Yes, it was. I kind of felt quite a lot of pressure going into the weekend with All-Star B. It's kind of the first time in a couple of years, I suppose, that I felt we were kind of up against our maybe some of our biggest rivals, but he pulled out the stops as he always does and was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, we had a great weekend.
Did he feel on tip-top form going into the weekend? Were you sort of quietly confident despite sort of feeling that it was a nice test to go up against?
No, I wouldn't say I was quietly confident. He's been in the last few weeks going very well on the flat, but he's taken, well, he's 15 now, and I suppose he's just finding self-carriage for the first time, I'd say, and it's quite a different feeling for me. So I wasn't sure whether, he's so well known for his kind of fault-free test. He's so consistent that with a lighter and brighter trot and everything that I've managed to get in the last few weeks, whether I would be able to maintain that in a test. So I was a bit unsure, and I was a little bit panicky in the warm-up that he would kind of drop off me when I went in there. But then when it came down to it, as usual, he's the ultimate professional and really rose to the occasion. So he was amazing.
I have to admit to fangirling over him a little bit in the warm-up, and I just caught the tail end of your warm-up before your test, and he looked incredible. And he did a change that was one of those changes that just was stunningly beautiful. Did you, when he obviously did a fault-free test and a stunning test, did you think, do you know what, this could be a sub 20, or were you just sort of delighted with how it had gone?
No, not at all. And the whole test, I suppose I was just, like you do, you get in the zone, and all I was worried about was trying to make sure I prepared the next movement right, and we got it. So no, it wasn't really. And then because I had a slightly different feel, a lovely feel, because it was more forward, but it was a slightly different feel from what maybe I'm used to. I didn't really know until I came out and everyone said, no, that looked really, really amazing. But, I'd kind of got the balance right, really. Yeah, and then I didn't really believe them until I watched the video and thought, actually, yeah, that did look quite nice.
That was pretty cool.
I didn't kind of trot around and enjoying every second, thinking this feels beautiful. I still had to work quite hard with it, but I always do with him. But yeah, he really was kind of light on his feet, the lightest on his feet he's probably ever been, which is really exciting, really, that he's still improving at his age.
I have to admit, so I was commentating in exactly where the scorers were. So when the score came in and I got to read it out, Chris Bartle and Ian Woodhead, who had both been helping you warm up, were just outside. And it's not often when you read out a score that they both do a sneaky little fist in the air. They look delighted. So I think you made them very happy as well.
Yeah, well, both of them have been, massively influential in my career and in getting Albie where he is today. As a young horse, he was quite stiff and quite ordinary. So with their help, they're the ones, and with Caroline Moore as well, that have helped me to make him into something special. So, I think it's so lovely that I have such a great team of people behind me, and it means so much to them as well.
Yeah, and it is an incredible team effort that goes into it. And I know everybody gets so invested in it as well. And just going into the show jumping, he's normally very good in the show jumping phase. It was a tough track. The time in particular was tight. And he's a big horse to manoeuvre. It was an enormous grass arena. The ground was very good. But how was his show jumping for you? It was actually, this has made it so he's had, in his last 11 internationals, he's only rolled one pole, which is quite remarkable itself.
Has he? Yeah. No, he actually jumped probably one of his best ever rounds. So much so that I think I put the time fault down to the fact that he spent a lot of time in the air. When Albie goes high, he goes slow as well. So he slow motioned pretty much every jump. And I've freezed one of the jumps and taken a picture of it. And his back legs must be pretty much over the top of the wings. He was giving them that much. So, which I am not going to complain about. But I do put my couple of seconds over the time down to him being slightly over exuberant. But yeah, I'm not going to complain about that. He got quite excited when he got in there. He's a funny chap. Sometimes he's really lazy in the show jumping, and sometimes he gets quite electric. And he was really lazy in the warm up, and then he went in there and got quite excited. And I thought for one moment he was going to be too strong, but he was actually, once he got jumping, he settled, and he really jumped a lovely round.
He looked superb, and I tell you one thing he wasn't slow with was his cross country. I don't think I've seen you, because obviously he's a long format specialist, and that really suits him. He's a big horse, so the sort of short format where the elements come up very quickly and it was quite twisty, that doesn't necessarily suit him, and quite often the short formats are preparations for the bigger runs. So I don't think I can remember seeing you really put your foot down, and my God, it was something quite special because he was flying cross country.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was flying, to be quite honest. It did feel fast, and I did have a bit of a cruncher of a fall earlier in the day, so I did have to give myself a bit of a talking to, and Piggy, being the amazing person she is, picked up the phone and said, "Come on, girl, put that behind you, get your brave pants on and go for it." And she didn't have to do that, and Chris Bartle gave me his usual kind of, off you go and get inside the time talk, which was great. And actually it was the best thing for me to have to go on and be in a position where I would have looked a fool to go around for 10 time faults. So he was fantastic. I think possibly a little shocked at how quickly I came out of the start box with him. And those 2 seconds over the time were my 2 seconds, not his. He was going at a great lick. I just went a bit wide on a couple of lines, but no, he was on great form actually. It's been a while since he's been chased along on the cross country, probably not since WEG. So it was good for him. I think he loved it.
Has he come out of it well?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, I'm actually sat on a horse at the moment talking to you and watching him grazing in the field. So yeah, he's travelled back very well and enjoying a relaxing week. So yeah.
Oh, good. And what will be the plan with him now? Because obviously this is the second half of his Olympic qualifier as such. He got his long format in Ballon last year and did everything he needed to do there. Will he head out much back end of the year? Will he stay short format, long format? What's the plan?
To be quite honest, I can't tell you at the moment. I don't really know.
That's okay.
Poe is not ruled out.
Okay.
But equally, it's not a definite. I got a few people to talk to, obviously, and got to find out what's likely to happen with next year and things like that, and then we'll make a plan for him. But
absolutely.
I think it's probably likely he comes out again. At what level and where, I actually couldn't tell you at the moment.
No, that's fair enough. Make a plan for the end of the year. And to be honest, it is a very much, I suppose, everybody's a little bit up in the air in terms of what is happening back end of this year still. We're hoping everything is sort of back up and running and kicking along as it should be. But again, going into next year, I suppose we're getting very used to this whole sort of uncertainty to a degree of the season and everything like that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's easy to assume that everything next year is going to, the season will start and everything will run normally. But I think the reality is it's not such a dead cert at the moment. So, I think, we'll just have to play it by ear, really, as with everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just a word on because obviously All-Star B was superb, but you had another few horses up at Burgham, and one in particular, I know when we spoke on the show that we did earlier this year, which listeners, if you haven't listened to, I can thoroughly recommend it. It was brilliant. But when we spoke earlier this year, Is-a-Lot DHI was your horse to watch. And actually, he came out and won the 2-star long format at Burgham at the weekend.
Yeah, Yeah, and I think he thoroughly deserved that win. He was exceptional all weekend. He did for the level he was at, I thought, a beautiful dressage test, and then jumped an easy and foot perfect double clear, as he's capable of. And really, he went there to get that's kind of part of his Lyon qualification. But yeah, I mean, he still is a very exciting horse for me, and I love riding him, and I love training him. So I think we get along well, which is part of it, and he's good in every phase. So yeah, he is exciting. He's done well in all his events so far this year. So yeah, we're kind of looking forward to the not too distant future, really.
Well, there you go, listeners. Is-a-Lot DHI is one for you to keep an eye on for the rest of the year as well. Ros, thank you so much for coming on to talk to us, and a huge congratulations on a brilliant weekend, because as I said at the start, it was your best ever international dressage test, it was your best ever international finishing score, and your first ever win at 4-star short level. So the hat trick for you.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. It was, and we're very lucky even to have got there and been there, really, weren't we? And I think the whole event ran very smoothly, considering the amount of people, they had to cater for and the current situation. So I think, a lot of us are very grateful just to have been able to get all our horses out and feel like, we've achieved at least something this year. So yeah, it was a great weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll look forward to seeing where they go for the rest of the year. But Ros, huge thank you and good luck for the rest of the season. If you do go to Pau, we will be cheering you on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, it was brilliant to hear from Ros, and I really was absolutely delighted for her. Her performance in all of the phases this weekend was just superb. But now it is time to talk about Burgham and how all of the action unfolded across all of the sections. And I'm delighted to say with me, who has been my partner in crime throughout the weekend, Catherine Austen.
Hi, Nicole.
Oh, Catherine, the Burgham hangover is real, but we are both back home. We have enjoyed a fantastic sort of restart to the international eventing season in Britain. And to be honest, before we go on to talk about Ros's performances and Oliver's incredible domination of the international classes, I think it's probably just worth saying that actually huge credit to the entire team at Burgham and to everybody involved, because obviously eventing is a little bit different now to how it has always been. And there's, face masks and social distance and all the rest of it. But it was brilliant sport and it was safe sport.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, it's really sad not to have the spectators there. They, they're what we do it for, and they provide the atmosphere, and and that was lacking. And obviously we're looking forward to having them back next year. But the sport was incredible, top class in every single class and every single bit of every single class. The officials, the organisers, everyone really pulled together, the owners, the riders, everyone worked really hard to make this work. And that's important. And I think that people got very used to, in inverted commas, the new rules. You have to get used to them. You have to get used to wearing your face mask at all times, at sanitizing your hands constantly, at social distancing. These things are here to stay, and we have to get used to them. But it worked. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. If somebody had told me that at some point in my life I would greet Oliver Townend with an elbow sort of bump from a distance, I would have thought they were smoking something they shouldn't have done, but that's what it was. No, it was a brilliant weekend, and it was different to normal. And at times I found it quite subdued. Obviously, there were no spectators there, but I think everybody was very respectful of the fact that there were obviously guidelines in place, etc. And so it was, considering there were no spectators there was actually a good amount of atmosphere, and the wind was very, very strong all weekend, which means that there were some very fresh horses as well. Let's talk about Ros Canter, because she took her first ever 4-star victory this weekend. She secured her best ever international dressage test with all-star B of 19.7. Catherine, we actually did a brief dressage review show, which listeners, if you wanted a roundup of how things stood after the first phase, you can go and listen to it. But she started as she meant to go on, and I think she was under a good deal of pressure this weekend as well.
Yes, and once you're the world champion and you'll always be under pressure, that will stay with her. But top class athletes can prove why they're world champions, and that's what she did. And she laid it down. She said, I'm here, I'm going to lead from the beginning, I'm going to show jump clear, I'm going to put up a very assured, confident, bold cross-country round, and I'm going to win. And that's what happened. I think she should be very pleased with herself, very proud of herself, and very relieved that her excellent relationship with her wonderful horse was proven once again this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It was quite interesting as well because Ros is a little lady. All-Star B is a big horse. They excel in the long format of the sport. I don't think I can remember seeing All-Star B going really fast and going for the time round a 4-star short. And it was a fairly twisty track, and it was a pretty tough time. It wasn't easy. A few people got it, but you had to really push for it. It wasn't straightforward. And she was flying. It must have been some feeling. And actually, it was nice to see her really have to fight for the win, if that makes sense. I mean, Piggy March, Brookfield Innocent had laid down the challenge. She had gone round in the fastest time of the weekend, I think, and was on 21.8. So she finished on her dressage score. And it meant that Ros, when she went out on course, had 3 seconds in hand to go ahead of Piggy. Well, 3 seconds is nothing on this course. And she actually used 2 of them. But she, it wasn't an easy win. You would think a 19.7 she could hack round and take the top spot. That wasn't the case at all. She had to earn it. And I absolutely loved watching them go cross country. It was a real highlight for me of the weekend. I think she thoroughly deserved it. She had a pretty nasty fall, a heavy fall, a little bit earlier on in the day as well. And she sort of picked herself up, dusted herself off, and off she went. So yeah, it was good to see. Let's talk about the rest of section M while we're there, because Ros obviously led the way from start to finish to win. Piggy Brookfield Innocent, who was the Blenheim long format winner, I think, Catherine, is really going to make his mark in terms of one to watch for Piggy for Tokyo, because he is her sort of first string for Tokyo now.
Yes, and I am not trying to make myself sound clever, because I'm not clever, but after she won Blenheim on him in 2019, I said this is her Tokyo horse. She finished on her dressage score of 21.8, a fraction behind the world champions. They needed to come out and do this kind of performance, I think, and they most certainly did. Good effort.
Yeah, and he was super cross country. He was fast and was faultless in all 3 phases, which was really good to see. Izzy Taylor monkeying around. Actually, Catherine, you said on the preview show he was one of your ones to watch. He was a bargain in Eventing Manager, actually. He was only 700,000 originally. And he seems to have really matured. 23.2 he finished on to take third. And if Izzy can now sort of keep this momentum going, I really think this is a super horse to kind of keep things going.
Yes, he's always looked and has proven himself to be supremely talented. And perhaps that's a bit of a problem. He did a lot young because he was so talented and found it so easy. And then just exerted his strength a little bit. He's got character, he's cheeky. But maybe he's growing up, and he needs to grow up because he needs to produce performances like this every time. But yeah, in a field like this, to have finished third on a finishing score of 23.2 certainly laid down the marker. He needs to do it again, but he looked very good.
Yeah, he absolutely did. I'll tell you who else was inside the top 10. Laura Collett finished in 4th with London 52. And actually she went with 3 really, really good chances of a win. I think she'll be a little disappointed with that pole down. But he did a personal best in the dressage of 20.3. And he, I think most importantly, was pure class on the cross country. He looked really confident, really assured, came home easily inside the time. And we know he can show jump clear. That isn't a problem. Anybody can have a pole down. I wouldn't worry about it. Yes, it's a what could have been. She could have won, but still a superb performance. The combination in 5th, Catherine, actually, I'm absolutely delighted for.
Yes, me too. Emily Chandler and Gortfalla Diamond, the Blair Castle long format 4-star winners last year. That was a small field. This was a very, very big field. And they proved that that was not a fluke, that was not a flash in the pan, that they are a extremely promising and exciting combination who will get some of the credit they deserve now, I think.
I hope so. And I'll be really interested to see where she goes with this horse next. I think they've got their 5-star qualification. I'd love to see them go to Poe. Watch this space. She just added a single time penalty in the cross country to her dressage score, and that was it. Finished on 25.6, and it was by far a personal best in the dressage for this horse as well. So really, really pleased for them. James Avery finished in 7th with Mr. Sneezy, and actually he again proved very good value. So 2 combinations inside the top 10 were actually only £700,000 or virtual dollars in the Eventing Manager app. So it just goes to show you that sometimes the gambles can pay off. Nicola Wilson, Bulana, amazing to have the mare back. She finished inside the top 10. And then 2 young guns in Yasingham and Bubby Upton, both of whom had really, really good weekends. Banzai Deloire, I know we've mentioned before, definitely one to watch. His first 4-star and just added a couple of time penalties cross country to his total score. And I have to mention my favourite horse of recent years, Don Janeiro, who has always pulled at the heartstrings. He's never straightforward. He's very good at letting people down occasionally. Just to prove it that he can do it when he wants to, he did a 24.4, jumped clear with a couple of time penalties, and then had a fairly steady-ish run cross country, but 4.4 time. Finished just outside the top 10. I was so delighted for Alex, who looked to have a really, really nice team of horses at 4-star this weekend. But Don is back. He can do it. He's just naughty.
I was really pleased to see 2 horses that I had wanted people to keep an eye on do really well. Little Fire, William Fox Pitt, really nice dressage, 23.4, beautiful clear show jumping round, and William just cantered round the 9.6 time penalties, as I imagined he would do. But they are, they're back. I wonder whether he'll do a 5-star with this horse this autumn. I bet he waits for Badminton, but it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
And Colorado Blue of Austin O'Connor's, who has spent a bit of time off, he was good. He finished in 14th, just behind William. And the one I really want to talk about, which is Spring Power and Sarah Cohen. New combination. Sarah has inherited the ride on Spring Power from Izzy Taylor. Their dressage of 31.6, plenty of room for improvement there, but they're obviously very new together. But their jumping phases, they looked excellent. They're very confident, very secure together. I thought Sarah rode beautifully. 2 time penalties, not a problem. But you'd think that she would be quietly very excited about what they did this weekend.
Yeah, and I hope she is, because actually, I mean, she finished just outside the top 15. But it was their first 4-star together. The horse can have quite expensive show jumping rounds. I remember occasion in Jardy last year in the Event Rider Masters with Izzy, where he really didn't want to leave the poles up. And he wasn't this weekend. He was super. So I agree. Absolutely delighted to see where they can go next. Let's move on to the other 4-star section, because this was the section that actually was won by the winners from 2 years ago. They were runners-up last year, Ballamore Class, who had a 21.4 dressage. He picked up a couple of time penalties in the show jumping. I actually watched his show jumping round, and it was absolutely super. The horse looked insane, really, really good. And then he went cross country, and Oliver said, "Oh, he went out of the start box, didn't he, Catherine?" And you know, he wasn't going to change out of that rhythm. He knew he had a little window to have a few time penalties, but still pick up the win, and that's exactly what he did.
Yes, and genuinely the horse didn't come out of the rhythm. You know, coming back up the final hill, Oliver crouched a little bit lower on him, and the horse, you know, extended his stride in response, but they were very smooth, very easy. You know, this level is, well, it's fun for them, isn't it? And they looked, well, we know they're top class, but They looked super, and it's such a pleasure to see a combination like that looking so within their comfort zone, so easy. Yeah, it's the dream, really, isn't it?
I don't think he was fired up on all cylinders in any of the phases, to be honest. Like I think Oliver will be happy to say there's bits he couldn't take away and work on. The horse would be fitter. The horse would have only had one run since obviously the restart of the season in an open intermediate at Chumley. So lots and lots to come from this horse. And I still think he is one of the best horses in the world at the moment. Yeah. Really, really pleased for them. And it was a cracking weekend for Oliver, actually, because he took both of the 3-star sections with Kilnabrad Nevo, who was back, and with Miss Cooley. And then on the Sunday, he went on to take a 2-star section as well with Cooley Rosalind. And I mean, he won 4 international sections, which has never been done before. The Echo Ratings team, listeners, were so busy all weekend because records were falling, and that was the last one to go. But 4 international wins in a weekend is just absolutely extraordinary.
Kind of why he's the world number one, isn't it?
I know. And he made it look so easy. Like there was no hassle. He just kind of carried on, even to the point where I looked when he won the 2-star. I was like, could he make it 5? But he didn't have a horse in the final 2-star section, so he couldn't. I've no doubt if he did have a horse in there, hell, if he had a beach donkey in there, he'd have probably won it because he's Oliver and he would have just managed to do some sort of miraculous sort of performance. But there we go. So Ballamore Class 1. The runner-up was Laura Collett and Mr. Bass, who were back and finished on their dressage score of 25.8, which was extraordinary. And do you know what? There were some pleasures this weekend, Catherine, but watching this horse go cross country was absolutely one of them.
He's pretty special, isn't he? And how nice for Laura that he's proved, after he had time off to Badminton last year, that he's proved that he's back, he's fit, he's sound. It's great. And, he's a previous winner of this class, and she only finished a fraction behind Oliver and Ballamore Class. I wonder whether she'll go to Poe. I don't know.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I don't know if I can say it, but I think all things going to plan. Sorry, Laura, I'm saying it. All things going to plan. That would be the aim.
Yeah, well, that would be the right thing to do, and it would be very cool. And then I think you need to talk about the next combination because you love this horse.
Oh, do you know what? Rev de Rouet and Sarah Bullimore. Sarah Bullimore, actually, she had Carouet in 7th as well. And Compierre and the other 4-star, finished just outside of the top 10. But her horses just looked in beautiful form all weekend. And Rev de Rouet, she actually only really hacked around the cross country. And essentially it cost her the win. If she'd have put her foot down, she could have had the top spot if she had been inside the time. Essentially, obviously, we don't know if Oliver could have then gone faster. Maybe he would have done, I don't know. But Rev de Rouet, ears pricked. He's 16, and he was the epitome of a horse that loves his job. He's not always been the easiest, but Sarah gave him such a lovely ride, and they just had a really nice time. Like, it was just lovely. And I hope that we'll see them go to Poe a little bit later on this year. And it is quite nice as well not to see necessarily her sort of going flat out all guns blazing. Yes, we would have loved to have seen him win. Yes, I would have loved to have sort of seen him go inside the time and then put pressure on those ahead of him. But do you know what? He had such a lovely, happy time and he wasn't under pressure. She didn't push for the time, I don't think. It was just so easy. And there's so much more for this horse still to give, even though he's 16. I really hope we'll see them go to Poe. And do you know what? A 23.3 in the first phase, that would be a personal best for this horse. And that would absolutely, if he can deliver that at 5-star, I would love to see her top a 5-star podium as well. So, yeah.
I think we all would. Yeah.
She's we were talking about this, Catherine, weren't we? She is one of the most underrated riders on the circuit in the UK. I don't think gets the credit she deserves because she is classy, very, very classy.
I'd love to see her get back onto a senior team. She's had one senior squad appearance, but she's very deserving of a senior team spot. And this horse is so capable of that. He just needs all his ducks to be in a row at the same time. But a younger combination who were very impressive. Well, Yasingham, she impressed, with all her horses throughout the weekend. But finishing 4th in company like this on Rehi DJ, she should have driven home with a big smile on her face.
Yeah, I think she would have done. Actually, both Yaz and Bubby on both of their rides were very competitive in all 3 phases, and they really mixed it with the big guns, which was fantastic to see. Kitty King in 5th. I think Kitty would be feeling a little bit like what could have been. I know we said on the dressage review show that she was a little frustrated with her dressage because there were 2 fairly big errors in there, which cost her. I mean, she still got a 24.8 with a late change and a break in the extended trot. So that just goes to show how good her test was. And he had a really unlucky pull down in the show jumping. And then he was super again cross country, so she had a top 5 finish, but I think Kitty would be a little bit, or it could have been. I know she went up there. We obviously had her on the preview show. Went up there to win, and it didn't all come together in all of the phases, but still very, very classy form. And a top 5 finish in that company is quite something still. So very, very pleased for her, and excited to see what Vendredi Biats will do next. Actually, looking forward to seeing what her plan is. Nicola Wilson, we obviously mentioned Bolana was top 10 in the other section, but JL Dublin is looking a really smart horse for her.
Did you see this horse show jump?
No, I was over at cross country.
Oh, phenomenal. Really, really cool. Yeah, this is a really exciting horse, and I've seen him come up through the grades since he was a novice horse, but he's stronger and very athletic, very impressive. Yeah, and another horse who finished on his dressage score, which is a big deal. I mean, a 30.3 dressage, that will obviously improve in time, and certainly the capability is there, but the jumping phases were absolutely there. And she was really quick. 6 minutes, 15 seconds.
Yeah, she was easily inside the time. And actually, it was nice to see Nicola sort of backfiring on all sort of form, because it's over a year since her last international competition, since her fall in Arville at the end of June in 2019. So it's really good to see her back, and the horses were in great form. So that was very enjoyable. Sarah Bullimore, as I say, another ride for her in the top 10. Bobby Upton had 2 in the top 10, and Hector Payne, actually, good shout out for him, because he obviously had that very good advance win at Aston Walls a couple of weeks ago, but Dynasty was super and actually really lay down the marker. He was 4 seconds over the time in the cross country, but he was one of the very first few to go. And so he was very, very good. But do you know what, Catherine? There was a point, and I think All-Star B was in the start box. Don Janeiro was just finishing on course. Piggy had just gone clear inside the time. And when you just think, this is what we love. It was a real weekend of pinch yourself competition, because it isn't often. Normally it's only the real big sort of long formats that you get to see this sort of competition and these horses go up against each other. It was really quite special at Burgham this weekend.
Someone this morning described Burgham to me as the Burley of the North. And I was like, oh, yes.
Oh, that's a tagline for social, isn't it?
That's a tagline. But it was a genuinely phenomenal level of competition. So many famous names, so many horses that on their own could win a competition of this level. You can probably pick out at least 10, if not 15 horses that utterly merit a 4-star short win. And I don't think you can say that very often. And as you say, it all happens so thick and fast that you're like, oh, Ballamore Class is just, London 52 is just doing this. And, you could hardly focus on the quality because there was so much of it, which, and I think we have to give a shout out to David Evans for building a cross-country course that the riders relish jumping around, and for his team and for Paul's team and for the landowners, the Hogg family, in producing Going, that I think Alex Huatian described it on Facebook as once in a decade Going. That's
really
quite cool. Yeah,
I'll be honest and say it's from David Evans's perspective, it's actually quite difficult when you've got this quality of fields. You've got 155 horses coming forward for a 4-star. You've got 4-star first timers. You've got 5-star winners. You've got horses that would have been going to Burghley or Tokyo this year. You've got young riders. You've got absolutely everything. And you've got a global pandemic, which means that people haven't been out competing. And so you want to build a tough enough track, but you don't want to build an unjumpable track. Like, it is really difficult to get that balance right. And I think the results will very much show he did that. The ground was superb, as you say, and that helps always, doesn't it? Because, it just gives everybody that platform to really give it their best shot. And the whole team at Burgham, it's always one of my most favourite events. And it was a real treat. So I feel like a very lucky, very happy girl, Catherine, that I was up there, and it was lovely to see so many people, and it was, just a real treat to enjoy eventing back again.
It was such fun to see everybody. I mean, I haven't been eventing since Po last year. I haven't seen a lot of the people that we see on a weekly basis, and it was fun to see everyone, and everyone was in good form. Everyone was in a good mood. Everyone was appreciative of what was going on. I thought everyone was respectful, and fingers crossed that has set the standard of the sport to be able to continue in a safe and successful manner.
Oh, I do hope so. And listeners, I have put together a very short vlog of some of the footage from the weekend. There's videos of Ros Canter, Oliver Townend, Laura Collett, Alex Fartian. The Don is in there, obviously, and a few of the highlights from Burgham as well. It is up on YouTube. The link is on my Instagram. Drop us a message if you can't find it, but we'll post it on the podcast page as well, because it's just a nice little look back at some of the highlights. Excuse the wind, because it was, as we said, blooming windy and very cold at times. We had all seasons in a day at times, but yes, it was brilliant. Just a word before we finish, though, on Great Meadow over in the States, because Liz Halliday Sharp De Niro Z won the 4-star there. Will Coleman off the record was second. We did a preview show on the USCA podcast, and I did have Liz on the podium, but on the wrong horse. So I will take it as a 50% win, maybe, if I'm pushing my luck. But you can go and get an update on all of those scores, useventing.com, if you'd like to catch up on all of the action over there. Catherine, thank you. It's been lovely to see you over the weekend. It has been brilliant to be part of the Burgham team. And we will look forward to bigger and better Burgham in 2021. And in the meantime, more good eventing in the UK.
Yeah, lots to look forward to in the next month or so. And great to see you too.
Even if I did go to the beach by myself. Honestly, listeners, I decided Saturday night, how do you celebrate a brilliant day of competition? I didn't really fancy going anywhere where there was lots of people. So I went off to the beach and I asked Catherine if she wanted to go with me. And she said, oh, that sounds lovely. But we didn't. I was like, no, that's fine. No worries. You carry on. And I went to the beach all by myself to discover the next morning that Catherine went to the beach too. The same beach, but didn't tell me.
Well, I didn't see you and I didn't know it was the same beach.
No, I know.
Anyway,
it was a huge coincidence.
You made a very big deal out of this.
I did. I was all by myself, listeners, all by myself. Anyway, Catherine, a huge thank you. It has been a delight to look back at Burgham, and we will look forward to the rest of the season. Listeners, we hope you've enjoyed all of the Echo Ratings coverage from Burgham this weekend, all of the records that fell at the podcast. We hope you enjoyed playing Eventing Manager as well. Stay tuned, because there is more of that on its way for you as well. And we will be back very soon with another episode of the Echo Ratings Eventing podcast. Thank you for listening to the Echo Ratings Eventing podcast. This podcast is available for free on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you usually listen to your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Find us at eventingpodcast.com or search Eventing Podcast on social media.